Hey Casey, how's it going? Good to see you. Hey Kimberly, good to see you. Hey Ange, howdy howdy. Hey Spencer, good to see everybody. We're gonna definitely do some nervous system today because we're seeing some lower scores in that area coming back from the CPC exam. My coupon friend, hey Sammy. My new kitty cat is named Sammy. He's so cute. Oh, that was a TikTok, but where is today? Today he was watching Kitty Cat TV. Sammy's the black and white tuxedo right there. Let's see. Will it play? I don't know how to play it. There we go. And that's Chloe, my mom's cat. I was watching her today. They were watching Squirrel TV. Squirrel! Oh my gosh. I don't know what I was doing on the phone. But so cute. There's probably a better picture of him. He was watching the Redbirds yesterday. That's my Kristen Stewart art. That is a print signed by an artist who did that Kristen Stewart artwork. But that's little Sammy. He's 2-year-old. Hold on, my kids are yelling at each other. Let them know that I'm going live. All right. Puppy's name was Sammy. Aw. We lost our tuxedo we had of the last 17 years. So I miss our little Robbie Roo we had, but unfortunately we had to say goodbye to him in April. So we've had Sammy 2 weeks now. My other tuxedo was a long hair, and boy, he had hair from one end to the other. He loved to be held because he was a rag doll. He loved to be upside down. Lay in your arms. Cute boy. Such a cutie. There were some interesting books on their website. The AMA. Have y'all ever been just to the plain AMA website just to see what they have. Since they write all of our books, you know, the CPT and all this stuff, not everybody's. I mean, Optum has a few out and other things, but if you've ever been to the AMA site, I was looking at their books last night. Let me see. Bring some of these up. Some of these, you know, you don't even have to buy them from their website. They even have links to their books used on Amazon. So if you go to the AMA website and you see a book you do like, they do have some that are different. Be sure and sign up for CPT News when you're at the AMA website, because they'll send you updates on codes that are changing. But if you go to the product catalog, I think, nope, I don't want to go there. Nope, it's not product catalog. It is our new storefront. It's that orange button in the middle. They had some neat books that I liked. They were the medical marriage. That's funny. Not just risk. Where was it yesterday? There was like a coding, medical coding and billing books. Non-annual coding books. I like this one. Look, it's CPT case studies. Yeah, that's expensive, but they have links to getting it used for $45. I can't see inside of it, but that seems really interesting. Examples of procedures and services. They have the case study one, and it looks like you could get it as little as $45. They had coding modifiers. With modifiers, the 6th edition. They're still a little expensive, but maybe you could find some used. I'm still trying to find some more that are used. Only 86 for used. Kind of have to wait a little while and see if we can't get that one to go down a little bit longer. But I really like the case studies one. That sounds interesting. They've got E&M Office. And that's only $35, and even used is even less. They have that Human Anatomy for CPT coding. That's that book that I've been saying that I really like. That one's really expensive, but I've got their older version from 2005. But they do have some that are used, that have all the drawings on it. See, there's the older version that I have. I have it in PDF form. Then the Principles of CPT Coding and ICD10 coding. And here's an ICD10 workbook, but they have it used. They do have risk if you ever wanted to go into risk. But anyway, I really like it. Their link from the AMA website takes you to their Amazon store, which is interesting, but they have a lot of resources here too, and I'm going to try to get some of these to incorporate into our little lessons. Let me know in chat if anything you want to look at. I did get a school camera. It's this thing that teachers use that flips around and is supposed to scan books, and it makes them look flat instead of curved, even when you're projecting. And it's autofocus, but the problem is I can't hook up this camera to my cell phone, and you can't run lives on TikTok unless you're on an Android or an app. And I can't get TikTok to run lives on a laptop. I even tried to download BlueStacks so that I could run the app through that. I can get the app to come up. but I can't run the camera through my laptop through the app to project here because I'm on a laptop. It'll only project what is on my computer, my laptop, which is my little camera up at the very, very top, which I can't fold down and look down at the books like I'm supposed to. So I tried projecting my phone. You can project your phone to your laptop. Well, that works, but still it'll only show the camera that's on my phone through my laptop. It won't show my laptop camera that I want to link in. Anyway, having tons of technical issues just because TikTok won't go live on a desktop setting. It has to be on a phone, which is crazy. You can view it all you want on a desktop. You just can't go live for some reason. I don't know. If anybody has any advice on all that mess, that would be great. But I spent 2 days wasting my time on that mess. All right, let me read the chat and see what's going on. Hello, 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 all my friends. Sammy, Kimberly, Connor, Jess is in. For CCS, there was some interesting books for CCS that I found on. I think those case studies will definitely help the CCS program for sure. I found some tables last night for value-based base units. I believe all the CCS people need to know some sort of base units. They're doing some anesthesia calculations and things that are going to be involved in all that. Direct books. Let me think. What did I have for CCS? Every time I find something, I post it in our chat for CCS so that y'all know what I find, and I'll label it, this is for the CCS people. So if you're not in our messenger chat, come find me here, and then I can add you into our messenger chat, and then I just post it here when I find stuff for CCS. Since I'm trying to help y'all pass y'all's exam too. Most of your test is just like the CPC, but there's a part where y'all have to evaluate it and clinically code it. Plus, some of you have the PCS book to go through too to find examples. PSC coding. PSC. I keep saying it's PCS because I want to go in alphabetical order, but it's PSC. There is for the PSC people, Medicare just came out with a new link for the 2022 guidelines. I saw that in our AAPC thing today. Somebody shared here. Nope, wrong one. I wish they had something valuable, but CMS just posted, there was like a dozen links to Excel sheets of PSC broken down into all the 2022 guidelines and all that they were doing. I don't see it. Maybe I'll see it before the end of the live, but I don't see it again right here. But I did click on it and look through them real quick today. And I had that oops. That's from 2000 Products and Service Federal Codes. Got that. Let's see what Hubby's saying. Hubby said hello. That's wonderful. And $6, great. Your exam is tomorrow, Casey. Got this. Oh gosh. Ah, your name is Jen too. Aw, Sammy. ICD-10 books co-worker brought had guidelines at each code. Is that an Optum book? It could have been an Optum one. Yay, keeping up with Joy. That's wonderful. She got her first health information job. That's good. Any experience you can get is super helpful for sure. I'm collecting information on all the exams. So Casey, tomorrow, if you get a chance to circle any codes that were on your exam, or like when you're in the middle of an exam and you're looking between two codes, if you just circle them real quick or something, if you're taking it in person, or note any abbreviations or vocabulary somewhere that you run across, that would be helpful. I've got little information on A, B, and C so far, CPC exams, and then I'm going to get them organized on a document so that we can look at those, and everybody will have that information. What's on exam A, B, C so far. Before the end of the year, hopefully, we can get some of that stuff done. And then the exam still should be good through March of 2022 before we get some updates. So let's get into this 60,000 series. For the nervous system, be sure you know that there's no modifiers 62 and 66 for this section. You're going to need to make sure you have your your abbreviations noted. Some of the procedures are super close in words, like extracapillary cataract extraction, or there's an intra. So extra or intra, and there's abbreviations for ECCE or ICCE. It does say it in the descriptors, but sometimes they're so close it's hard to notice. I have the differences between the male endocrine glands and the female endocrine glands. A few little category 1 or whatever codes for those studies that might be included in these in the back of the book. Be sure you know what lobes of the brain there are. What does the cerebellum or any kind of, like the medulla, what does it control? What does the brainstem do for you? Those kind of things are awesome to know before you get into the exam. I need some more lighting over here. I moved to another part of the room. Some of my examples are headaches, seizures, hallucinations. They used the code 61055 for this, and then they used an additional code of the 77003, something around the radiology, and they used those headaches, seizures, and hallucinations diagnosis codes. We had a new onset of headaches, seizures, hallucinations. They did a lateral cervical puncture with fluoroscope guidance. They used the 61050 with the radiology 77003 with those diagnosis codes for that one. We had decompression of an orbit, and they use a transcranial approach. One of my examples, it was code 61330. And we had a left eye neoplasm, frontal scalp was retracted posteriorly, and the forehead was anteriorly. They used code 61330 for that one. What does frontal lobe say? Wasn't Optum. I wish it was. She got it from Decision Health. Unfortunately, you probably can't use that one for the CPC exam because it gives you too much information. You might pass right away. Isn't that terrible? I hate that. Let's see, what does the frontal lobe say? Oh, back over here, you mean. I've got 4 lobes of the brain. Right controls left, left controls right. The hemispheres are divided into lobes, and the largest part, mental processes in the second hemisphere, those kinds of things. Peritoneal lobe is sensory motors, pain, heat, touch. Frontal lobe is premotor cortex, personality, emotions, morality, and speech. That's why my children are acting right. That didn't get formed. Let me get to my draw thing. Let's see here. First one. All right, let's get to our process of elimination for these 60,000s. So just looking at these right away, I can tell I do not like B, right? Because it doesn't look the same. And I've got 31 in all these. I think this is the one. Is this the one I did in the live the other day or the TikTok? So I won't do the 31. I won't look it up because there's no need. It's in the answer for all 3, right? So the only difference was the 72, the 37, and the 32. There was a reason why I wanted to show this off in the live. I know I have a TikTok out for it, but sometimes your answer is super, not really like 100%. There's only like maybe 2-letter difference to let you know the difference. It's just, you got to make sure you pay attention to the differences in the CPT codes. So 64832. Yeah. So this one was the distal. Oh, I'm trying to do my mouse, put my mouse over here, and it's not working because this is not a computer. This is a book. This is digital, and then the difference in the other one was median, and then this one down here was a suture for that was going to be delayed or secondary, like a secondary thought, like, well, let's go back and do one more suture kind of like thing. So really, they gave you just 2 answers here to let you know that, to even narrow it down even more, that all you needed to know was that it was digital or median on this one. And then all you had to do was do the word search for digital or median throughout the question till you found that. Come on, mouse. Where are you at? I'm trying to look through my camera, but there's digital and my hair's coming through the digital nerve, and that's all you needed to know. You wouldn't have to look up the first code because it's already in the answer for all of them. You only needed to look up the second one, find the difference, and then that word right there is your answer. So the one that was digital was definitely the 31 as the core code. The 32 was the parent or the child code that goes along with that one. So even knowing nothing and not even knowing any words, you know that this one goes with this one. And that would have been the only real option because the 31 doesn't go with any other code. If you're just looking at the numbers and looking at what you have boxed, you really wouldn't even have to look up that or look in the test question at all. If you're just looking at the numbers, you know what's in this box. You know 31 is in all the answers. So you know there's only one additional code that would go along with it. I guess technically maybe the 72 because it goes along with everything up here. But still, the more likely one is just whatever's in the same box you've already pre-done for the parent code. Just another idea for when you're looking at these. Do you have any? Yes, I'm working my butt off on 2022. That's why I'm so tired. I'm up every night working on that. I was watching till 3 in the morning this morning doing this mess. This is gonna be, oh, why do you look that way? Oh, that's the way I made it. Oh, wait a minute. I can't. There we go. I want to go back that way. And then I want to go here. I've got it all typed out. I'm just adding in the extra information. I was on diabetes last night, so the guidelines are on this side, and then my notes are going to be on the other side. And then I'm doing screenshots too of what's inside the books that might go along with whatever's going on. But I ended up doing like some examples here for diabetes. Like there's 2 examples for type 2, and then there's 2 examples for type 1, and then some information on what to do there. But you can see where I'm at right here. And I still have like to the end of the page to finish. So I'm on page 36 of 104, and I've been working 2 weeks straight. I'm just so discouraged, but I just wanted to make the guidelines really well this year so that everybody has what they need to code these. Plus, I'm going to take out the top 10 that I believe are always on the CPC exam and have them on their own personal sheet so that we can go over those guidelines and be aware of exactly see, there's screenshots and stuff of what is the top 10 guidelines that you should know that will get you at least, a 70, 80 passing grade. If you learn all those guidelines, front, back, however they could be used, and you absolutely know those 10, you're going to pass that part of the exam for sure. But I wanted to break it down into just a 10-sheeter for that, for sure. But yeah, working away on the 2022. I want to do the same for the diagnosis codes and for the CPT codes. These guidelines are not copyrighted because they post them out for everybody, so that's okay. But with the CPT codes, I have to get rid of a lot of the book. I can't just copy and type out the entire book. I'm going to make sure that I have your code, but then I have just what needs to be highlighted is probably what I'm going to end up having to have. But I'm going to do every code, unlike some other people that do this, but they give you 1 out of every 10 codes. You'll have something for every code, what's important, what AKAs you need to know, some examples and that kind of thing. But definitely going to have some cool updates for the CPTs also. Let me get back open that test. But hopefully I can get done with this sometime soon. I hope. Because I've got people asking me every day, where is the guidelines? Where's the guidelines? Need the guidelines. I'm working on it. Promise. Here is another test example for the CPC exam. So if we were just doing an evaluation for process of elimination, we can get rid of B and C because numerically they don't start out with the 45s, right? This one we have the 48 with that modifier or the 48 times 2. Thanks, Casey. Thanks, Rose. Connor. You never know, Connor, if you can times 2 a code or if you have to add a modifier to it. So I never know till I go to the code. So I wouldn't worry about the 45 since it's in both. So I would want to know whether we can add the modifier or if we need to do times 2. So I need to look up that code to see if we're correct. So 63048, 63. Where are we at? 63048. And it says to use it with that first code that we do have, so that's good. And then it's an additional code. So what do you do with a code when it has the plus sign in front of it? Do you multiply it times 2 or do you add the modifier to it? And I never really like to use always because this book is never nothing always, but the code in front of us, if you look here at the 44 set that's in front of us, and I know this has nothing to do with our question, but they have an explanation right here. This is also an addition code. So it says for bilateral procedure, do that code twice. So you would do times 2 They tell us that for this set that's right above that one, but when it comes to this one, they didn't. But I know AAPC looks at this book thoroughly, and they know that it told us right above it in the code set before what we do. And they do it quite often in the one set before us. And the ones that it's saying use the modifier are not the plus symbols, right? The only one that it says when you do it twice, it's the one with the plus sign in front of it. That's an add-on code. Correct, Jess. It can't have the modifier. So we know just by looking at that the answer has to be D also on this one, which is correct. I did have the answers on these posted so that you could see. I took out their rationale because their rationale is crap. Because it'll tell you, oh, we'll go to the index, and you'll look through the index and go here and there, and it's like, dude, you can't go through the index when you're on the CPC exam, you know? You have to go to the codes as quickly as possible, and that's all you're going to have time to do. There's no way you're going to index multiple codes or any codes at all. All right, here's another one. Well, since this one's 82 and 83, 84 and 85, I'm assuming they're all in a row and really close to each other. So really the process of elimination is not going to really help you, but when we get there, we'll know. We just need to figure out what the key words are of the differences in each one of those. Keep that in mind before we skim the question to see if we can figure out the answer. So 669. And be sure and write these examples in your book as we're doing them, or later when I repost the live if it records. It's not been recording my lives lately. 3 hours is gone. So be sure and write something down so that you at least have 2 examples per book page for this section written down, just in case, so that you know if you run into it again during your exam, you have an example written down for you. So 669. $66985. We're up here, and then we have the 82. There's that stuff that I was talking about earlier right here. There's that ice baby, where it's intercapsulary, and sometimes there's another one that will look almost the same, but it's the extra, and that one's extra, and then there'll be one that is intra. So almost the same words, but very different. That one with the hand getting injection has been on both exams. She took A and C exams, in case anybody sits for an exam this weekend, Miss Casey, and you see on your label that which exam you've got, you know that question's going to be on it if you end up with A or C. So this test question happens to say the extra word. So we know anything that says the ice And we do have the 83 is D. We don't need to count that one. We're only going to count the ones with the extra. 66982 is this one. 84 is also the other extra. And the difference in this one is this one has the iris expansion device and this one doesn't. And when we look at our text question, you can see right there it's got an expansion device. And that's how you tell that your answer is C on this one. Because the first one has the expansion device, which is kind of unusual for CPT because most of the times the farther advanced the procedure is, see the descriptor is so much smaller here, but it's really big here. Usually it starts out small and then goes little, but they always switch things around to make no sense whatsoever. This 66984 was used as a patient has cataracts, and they did a posterior chamber lens implant into the left eye is when they did this one. This one, for the example, was a right eye. They used an expansion device for the pupil. They removed the nucleus and irrigated and aspirated and removed the residual cortex following insertion of an intraocular lens. But in reality, you don't need to know all that information. If you're doing the test with the process of elimination and you're just looking at the codes numerically, but I want to make sure that people are getting examples to actually write down in their books instead of just going over the exam with just the codes, just in case. That might help bring up the scores in this particular section of the CPC exam. This 66985, I have some descriptive words that were used in an example. That's APHAKA and then ANISOME TRACH, so that we have those key terms for that particular CPT code. That patient had eye surgery to implant some lens. They used sutures for this one too. Nothing in particular, just that aphakia is the white floaters that go in that it's just white skin. You know, as your skin degrades as you get older, it flakes off, and it can do that inside the eyes too, and then they get all up in the way and you can't really see through them because you got all these little floating skin cells all over the place. So that's what's going on there. This one right here, the 67010, was used because of a prolapse and edema in the eye. So they're removing some stuff from the eye, and it's a partial removal, but the reason why is because there was a prolapse in the anterior chamber with cornea edema is what's going on in that particular code. So if you see any examples on the exam that say something about prolapse or edema, in the eye. This is the procedure that they use to work on the eyeball for that. Maybe that kind of information will help. All right, here's another one. We'll definitely have some of these. This is the Otitis Media. So we've got 2 with the 36, right? So we'll get rid of C and D because they're not the same. We don't need to look up this code because it's the same. The only thing we need to look up different is the diagnosis codes, right? So we just need to look up the 33 and the 43 to see what the differences are in those 2 codes. H65. What are we doing? 33 and 43. Over here. Back over here. 33 is bilateral and it's mucoid. And 43. Where's 43? Oh, it's 66, H66. 43 is also bilateral, but it's superlative. So one of them's superlative and one of them is mucoid. That's the only differences. So we'll just skim this question real quick and look for just those key terms. I hear those kids. We've got mucoid right there. So we know our answer is A. That's it of the 67145. 67145. This is under Prophylactic Retinal Detachment. This was a laser being used for a retinal detachment due to a baseball injury. They used the code 67145 with 3 diagnosis codes. 2 of them were external causes. So if you have that question, we've got an example for that one. 67145, baseball injury. They used a laser to do some coagulation to get that eyeball to quit bleeding so that it wouldn't rupture. Here's another one. So which 2 are we going to keep on this one? Y'all let me know what your favorites are. Which 2 are we getting rid of? Just numerically. Hopefully y'all can see. Good, Ange. Yep. I hope it's not my connection. We're definitely going to keep B and C, and all we got to do is look up 43 and 45, see what the differences are. Perfect, Jess. Perfect, perfect. All right. 613. Back this way. Back into the neurology. 613. There's a laptop on top of it. 613 doesn't help. 43 and 45. So, am I in that place? Yep, 43 and 45. Okay. So, they're both their own core code. This one's a decompression, not elsewhere classified. Trying to think of what kind of scenario would happen. I keep trying to draw on this with my mouse. Would make a difference. How would you know it was 45? Like what key term would pop up? Because you know it's not going to be other, decompression. Because there's not a lot of info here. Because I know it will pop up probably, more than likely, which I don't have highlighted. It's going to say that it used a lumpectomy, that word would pop up. It could have the word graft, of course, in it. This one does not have any graft. This is just a cranial decompression. If our test question has a procedure of a cranial lumpectomy that would decompress the part of the spinal cord, then you're good. If you really need to know what all's listed here to know that there's codes for all these, and if there's something weird listed that's not listed, we'd have to use the other. But that's only if you're coding in real life. Just because we only have the two answers here to decide from, if by chance no key terms like lumpectomy, even this sub word and graft do not show up in the test question, then you need to pick this one, because it's got to say something in here for you to be able to pick it. This one definitely has a lot of stuff in it, so that's good. Let's see, and it does have the word lumpectomy right there, which is great. But just in case it didn't say anything, there's no lumpectomy. See, they have posterior fossa that matches. Did they have a graft? No graft. No. Ooh, they had to remove a tonsil and a bunch of brain fluid came out. Ugh. So anyway, we know our answer is going to be the 43, but I'm trying to figure out a way for y'all to know, well, what if it isn't? And they're just picking some random other thing. And the posterior fossa goes with this 45 code, which is in your question, but so is lumpectomy. So you definitely got to pick 43 because it says lumpectomy. And it's got the medulla and spinal cord all listed together. It does not have a graft, but it does say posterior fossa. But you have the word laminectomy lining up. Our answer is definitely going to be C, but I wish I knew how to tell you or show you an example of what it would be like if it was 45. My kids are whispering outside the door, so I know they're doing something wrong. AAPC says it's definitely the 43. I can bring back up the rationale if I need to, but this one is definitely the 43. We have a craniotomy, and with the cervical, C-cervical, we've got C2 laminectomy, and we are definitely doing a cervical laminectomy. For the decompression, we had to go cervically to get the decompression to go through. So it's definitely 43. You're interrupting the live again. No, you have your own TV to watch. You don't need to watch it with them. You need to fold the towels. You haven't done any chores today. What? I got a text message that says it's been delayed. I don't know. They said they'll let me know when the driver's headed our way. Oh, Lord. He's watching what I'm watching. Even though they all have their own TVs. Oh, Lord. Yeah, really don't care much about what diagnosis the patient has when you're dealing with just procedures, because a lot of times we just need to know the description of the procedure, what is actually being done. Try not to involve my head with too much of anything else other than just what are they doing, because all I need to know is what CPT code was performed. So some things it's unavoidable. You really do need a little bit of diagnosis to know, but a lot of times you don't. You come in here and have a seat. Get on the other side of the couch and be very, very quiet. Whew. Hey, TMS. Let's see. Let's go right here to the next one. Let's see what we like here. Which two are we keeping? I don't even know if y'all can see. Can y'all even see? I need to remember to keep y'all's numbers up where y'all can see them. Yep, we're going to get rid of C and we're going to get rid of A. Those two are not the same. We don't need to look up the 90 because they're the same. We really don't. Now we got to make some tough decisions. How do we do the 92? Is it going to be times 2 or by itself? Because these two are the same too. Let's go look up this 644.92 and see what's going on with that sucker. 644. What? 92. I don't know if these charts are ever any good or really what the purpose is. If they had a number, a code that was out of sequence, I wrote the page number down beside it so that just in case. But if the imaging is included or not, that's kind of helpful because it's really hard to know sometimes. So some of this stuff might be really helpful to look at. It tells you that all of those are separate from 00 to 50, and then from 51 down, it's only one code doesn't, so the rest do have it included. So that's kind of interesting, kind of cool. But if it had a number that was listed as out of sequence, I put the page number down beside it. Here's what I did with that. 64492. We've got a 92 right here, and the 92, do not report it more than once per day. Oops, in our parenthetical notes. So anything that says ×2 is definitely going to be wrong, and the only option we have, because we picked B and D, is this one ×2, and we can't use that code ×2 in one day. So without even reviewing a question and just looking at these numerically and knowing nothing else about the thing, D is our answer. I think y'all get tripped up by reading the questions, trying to decide diagnoses and procedures and all this stuff when it's not necessary. And y'all can just pick a code and pick your right answer. And evaluate the numbers logically of what could possibly be an answer or not be an answer. And if you take the time to do that, it'll pop up at you and say, this is the answer. Promise it's the answer. You don't need to second guess. That's the answer. You can't use it twice in one day. Can't bill for it. They may have done it 16 times, but they can't bill for it. So you can't have that as the answer. Because I bet whatever that procedure is, they probably did do it 13 times up here, and they'll tell you that they did it twice, and you're going to assume it's going to be that answer. But don't read none of that question if you don't have to. All I had to do was evaluate those CPT codes to figure out what the answer is. How far? Oh, okay. Let's use our modifiers. We know what E's are for, right? Our E's are going to eliminate things down for us, and I bet because we have the 2 E2s, right? Because all these numbers, I can't get my mouse to work. Where is it at? There we go. Because we have 2 E2s, and all these numbers are pretty close together. The 14 and the 17 are only 3 numbers apart, but then the 21 and the 24 also, so it's hard to gauge. But if you add in the modifiers, it's going to tell you to pick these two. It's probably going to be a reason for those two to have the same modifier for sure. So let's go look up 67921. 67921. And those modifiers mean upper eyelid, lower eyelid, right eyelid, or left eyelid. There we go. So 21 and 24. So the difference is a suture or an extensive procedure. So if they say something about tarsal strip or that capsule fossa repair operation, if they use any of those AKAs, then you know it's going to be 24. If they don't say anything, they say they just put a suture in and went on about their business, then it's going to be the 21. You see the word deep. Usually don't use that for much of anything that's not going to be stripping. Was that one of the words they used? And they used the lateral tarsus. Oops, our question's above us. Sorry. Yep. Oop. See that tarsal word right there? Yep, tarsal. Because it doesn't say anything about being just a simple suture, and because they've used those other words, the deep, the stripping, because stripping should not be included when it's just a suture. And they did a lateral tarsus. The word was TARSAL, but close enough for government work. They used an AL in the descriptor. And I might change this one, is what I was thinking to myself. TARS. Lateral would be an AKA for this, for that particular code for next year. B is our answer because they did more. Even just seeing the word stripping, stripping would be another word I'd write in there. Because that's way more than just a repair with a suture. That would not include any stripping. This one would. B is our answer. Hey, apricot. So for this one, I love the 65s. We've got A and C, so I would get rid of B and D. Yep, A and C is perfect, Ange. Good, Casey. Perfect. We don't need to look up that first code because it's in both, right? We could either look this up by the procedure code 50 and 55, or we could look it up by the diagnosis code because it is different. Because the diagnosis code, there's both are in the other examples, that really doesn't help me either. But I like the fact that the 55 was in B. I was just evaluating the numbers. So that'd make me lean towards C because I have something that was in 1 that is not in A. There's no 50 in D that we got rid of. So just kind of makes me lean that way. So we're going to go look at the CPT codes 62350 and 556. Or you can run to the other book, but since I was already in the CPT book, I'm just going to stay there. But you can look, obviously, of course, yes, in the ICD10 book. But for me to move it and then open it would take more time if I was in the middle of the exam. 623. 62350. 50 and 55. So 50 is an implantation and 55 is a removal. It's really all we need to know. Are we doing a removal or are we doing an implantation? And I see the word removal right there. So that makes me think that we're doing a removal. So C, again, is what I would pick, because that's where 55 is at, and then I would move on to my next one for sure. Thanks, coupon. And the E modifiers are also on Appendix A, but also, yes, on the front cover of your CPT book, and they're on the back cover of your HCPCS. But I would write them on the front pages of your surgery for the eye. I don't have them here. That should be something I should write. E1, E2. That should be something I add to this page. But I do have the normal HCPCS codes that might be here, prefixes that are here, suffixes that are here, names of things that could be quite on there, like the dacryostenosis. That was on somebody's exam. I don't remember if it was A, B, or C, but their version of the exam. But I would write your modifiers here. That way you have them and you can find them really fast because it's the baby blue pages. You can turn straight to that. I have some common diagnosis codes too here, just to have them. Some of the ones are kind of hard to find. Some people using these codes with an E&M visit because they just needed to get something out of their eye during an office visit. So they used the modifier 25. That was one of the examples I had in my book. So our next one is going to be a little difficult because it's going to have to be two-stepper, because these two are one away from each other and so are these. So we're going to have to go look up the 6222 and then we'll have to look up the 62190. See what the difference is take a gander at our question to see which one we can eliminate. Then we'll be able to eliminate 2 of them or the other 2. And then we'll narrow it down between the 2. So some of them will take 2 steps to do. 6222. 622. We've got 2O, which is a shunt, and then 62190, somewhere around there. 62190. It's on the same page. It's another creation of a shunt. Let's see. Arterial, and this is arterial also. One of them's ventro arterial, and this one's subarterial. So we just need to look up the sub or the V. So we're in the V, the ventral. So I know I need to keep the 20 and the 23, right? So that's going to eliminate C and D because they're in subarc or subdural. And this one is definitely in a ventricle. Medullary, big one. And I put this blue stuff on it. Now I can't read my words.